So good morning and welcome to our sponsors, to our partners, and most importantly to our customers. Thank you for joining us here at a sellout crowd. I'm amazed at how big this function is, so thank you. So I thought I'd share with you some statistics, given that we're still a young company, but growing very, very quickly. And I want to make sure that you understand that we are here for the long run. Some of the interesting stats that we have, and this is based on our 2018 numbers, we have over 3,500 enterprise customers. We are represented in more than 50% of the Fortune 500 companies and 7 out of the Fortune 10. In fact, I think we're now 8. We've cultivated the largest RPA community, over 400,000 members in over 200 countries, and we've grown our annual revenue base 16 times over the last period. Our annual recurring revenue has moved from 8 million to over 200 million. So we're landing and we're expanding our presence, both here in China, but also globally. So we're very excited about that. We've delivered 6 releases, at least, of our UiPath enterprise platform, including incorporating the artificial intelligence computer vision, defense security grade security, and then launched UiPath Go, creating an open and extensible architecture. We are one of the most valued companies from an employee perspective, and also further endorsed by the Series D funding that we recently received of over $500 million. So big round of applause to the company. Now this slide really illustrates our evolution of accelerating the automation-first mindset. When we look at it from a junior perspective, and junior I mean looking at it department-wide, we're looking at a very project-based concept. And what we start to see then, as we deploy robots into organisations, they see the intrinsic value. They see the return on investment achieved very quickly and start to expand. The other thing that we see now in some very progressive companies, and even in governments, is they're now looking at 1 robot for every employee, and in fact 1 robot for every citizen. And we get these 2 forces mixing. We get the groundswell from the bottoms up, organisations adopting RPA, and we're also getting the tops down with progressive thinking. And what we find when these 2 forces merge is the workforce of the future. The virtual workforce working alongside with humans. How exciting to actually achieve better outcomes, whether it's for the business or whether it's for the economy, eliminating waste. Now, the intelligent automation enabling digital transformation has evolved over a number of years. Many of us have used continuous improvement and quality improvement in our organisations. The concepts of Six Sigma, Lean Sigma, where we use data-driven reviews to actually optimise processes and eliminate waste. What we see now is that in the second column there, we've got robots helping us do the tasks. And we're getting rid of those mundane, repetitive tasks that often take us a lot of time and waste effort. And these robots are called the doers. They're the workforce that are actually going in and just doing repetitive tasks over and over again. The evolution of that is then into the integrated analytics. And that next column is the learners. We have enhanced the concept of just doing a task, but the bots are now being inquisitive and multi-skilled. They're using analytical tools to predict the environment and to recommend a course of action, which actually augments our own human judgment. You know when you have a gut feel and you need the data to actually support? Well, this is very quickly enveloped as we move forward. And then the final pillar there is the thinkers. So these is now using intelligent process automation and also artificial intelligence, not just to automate your process, but to now bring it together in terms of predictive analytics, self-learning, and being multi-skilled. Huge possibilities. And what we're finding is that there is a blurring of the lines between each of those pillars as the tools are refined. A very exciting time. So when we think about digital value, and when we think about, well, how do we make that investment into digitising our organisation? 3 E's come to mind: efficiency, effectiveness, and also experience. So efficiency is quite straightforward. Minimise your cost, optimise your productivity, and then eliminate any waste. From an effectiveness perspective, we want to ensure we maximise the business value through having all services and processes aligned to the business need. And then the final thing around experience is what I call the feel-good factor. Our customers love us because the experience is good when we engage with them, and we're all aligned to the customer, meeting the customer experience. The second piece is then that the suppliers who we deal with, or our partners, enjoy dealing with us because it's easy to do business. And finally, we have happy employees. We've relieved them of their mundane tasks, we've gained a better work-life balance, and so the experience overall is great. And when you look at RPA, when you look at digital transformation, when you look at AI and the future, it ticks each of those boxes very quickly. So do we have any finance people or CFOs in the audience today? Show of hands? Okay, round of applause for them. Because they, like me, have continuous scrutiny and pressures. We've got those competing forces there, market realities, which means improved compliance requirements. We've got volatile markets out there with the consumer market dynamics changing, and we also have accessibility to new technology. And then we have the business demands. Our CEOs, our boards are all demanding that we are a trusted business advisor to them. We've got to look after our team and gear them up for the skills of the future. And then we've got the compliance, the governance, and the oversight that we provide, let alone meeting our numbers every quarter. So dealing with this market reality is really important. And the interesting concept that we have here is that a staggering number of CFOs worry, almost 42% of them, that their finance teams are still reactive. They're not using information processes as quickly to shape strategic decisions for the organisation. Now, do we have the answer to that? Well, transforming finance and accounting is really important. Digitising your processes using RPA and AI can help drive that transformation and relieve your teams of the repetitive tasks that weigh you down. You reclaim your focus on moving to the value-add activities. And so it's really important there, when you think about your own work, would you say, if you looked critically at all the tasks that you've got to get through for the day, about 20% of the activities you find mundane. We had the example of travel expense reporting. How many of us who travel find it trying to find time scheduled in your diary to sit down and do expenses? It can be quite a frustrating and also a time-consuming role, and we can automate that. In fact, IDC Insights, who is a global provider of market intelligence, conducted a research analysis of the Asian banking sector. And the 10 early adopters of RPA in that sector were able to recover their initial RPA investment within 10 to 24 months. Astounding figures. And in a recent Robert Half survey, who is an employee recruiting firm, they suggested that over 7% of their respondents found that if RPA was deployed into a payroll back office, they could actually achieve a lot of efficiencies. And similarly, 59% of respondents suggested that if they automated their reconciliation process, they could relieve time to more value-added activities. Astounding results from that in a finance capacity. So 4 use cases that I have up here, and I'll just go through a couple of them. First of all, a large MNC in a retail corporation implemented 100% tax invoicing with a bot within 3 weeks. So the implementation and deployment can be very quick depending on the complexity of the process. And then the payback in terms of return on investment is also making sense. It is non-intrusive as a tool. It sits on top of your current ERP platforms, and it can generate immediate savings the quicker you deploy it. And here in China, I was fascinated to learn that one of the use cases that we have in the banking sector is that a team of people were looking at investors in the bank. And in order to set up an investor in this bank, you had to go through 1,000 parameters to actually initiate the customer profile so that it actually put the money into the bank. Amazing stuff, and we've helped to automate that and relieve the team of that mundane work. So, interestingly enough, UiPath is trusted by leading enterprises, so you're in good hands. And so what we see here is examples of some of the large companies that we work with. General Electric was able to achieve something like $28 million of savings in the first year they deployed bots. And then Unilever has also relieved their workforce of about 160,000 hours. It allows you to scale and grow your business while keeping a good control of your resources. So I thought I'd share with you some best practices in terms of automation. What we've found that works well when you're thinking about going down this automation journey is, first of all, strategy and sponsorship. You need to have strong C-suite support, executive support, in order to have a successful RPA implementation. And the important thing there is having a named leader to actually manage the actual initiative. This is not a project, it's a journey. It's a journey that the organisation is elected to take. They need to be able to help rally the troops, be able to work with your external parties, and then also to help prioritise efforts within the company. And having that close linkage with your IT department is going to be critical because we need their support in elements of the RPA implementation. Now, if you're worried about, is this going to really pay me back very quickly? I'd say start small and then scale up, because as the enthusiasm grows, it becomes infectious within the organisation. Set up a governance framework, just like you would any other new implementation, and refine it as the initiative is evolving. This should include a security strategy. It could also include monitoring the performance of bots and their utilisation. And finally, any transformation starts and ends with people. So it's really important to have your human resources people aligned to the overall strategy in building the digital workforce. Look to build the skills for the future. What gaps do you have? Engage employees to build an innovative culture, because without their support, this will not be successful. And finally, recognise and reward those employees that embrace the automation first mindset. So my call to action for you is, it's time to ask yourselves, what is it that your organisation is waiting for? What stands in your way of putting automation first? And how do you be that catalyst for change to lead the way to the future? After all, the best way to predict the future is to invent it. I wish you well as you accelerate your automation journey. I'll be around for the rest of the day and look forward to seeing you during the breaks. And thank you. 谢谢。